How we doing, y'all? It's Dia. We're back. I'm on Apex, and I haven't touched this game in a very long time. But I just seen that they have this like dual game mode where it's just 1v1s and you just go on hitting the gauntlet against many people. That is my thing. I love just 1v1s and just like getting random guns and just shooting. So we're gonna be doing that, but also I want to talk to you guys a bit about relationships and putting yourself out there, but more importantly, like looking for the right person. Now you may tell me, and you may ask me, Dia, what makes you speak on this? Well, guys, I've been in a healthy relationship for about 5-6 months. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Congratulate me. I know it's a lot more than some of you guys out there. Some of you guys get them turnovers every month, every week. I'm talking about my boy Josue. Anyways, but yeah, no. A little advice. Because I'd assume that a lot of you guys are probably around my age or younger or maybe a little older. Oh. I don't expect you to have all the answers, just like I didn't really know what I was doing, I'm not gonna lie. Especially in high school, middle school. But let's just assume you're around the high school age. You're around the high school age, or you're just starting to put yourself out there, you're learning about, well, oh my god, you're just learning, what you can do, what you can't do, basically. Let's say you met this girl in your class, right? Let's say, you're sitting next to her, you're like, damn, she's cute, it'd be pretty sick if we talked, she seems like a cool person. And the main part, if you truly think this person's cool enough to maybe start talking, you gotta talk to them, bro. That was the biggest step that I never got over, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I struggled big time talking to anybody. Ooh! Yep, I struggled big time. I couldn't talk to nobody. I was just antisocial for real. So, if you're antisocial, if you were like me a bit, you gotta just put yourself out there. You gotta start speaking to these girls. You gotta just like get comfortable with being uncomfortable talking to them. I was always just feeling like, oh, like, what am I saying? It's so stupid. What if she don't mess with me? But I'm telling you, these girls do not care. They're more worried about, like, what? I guess, like, this is what I realize about everybody. Because people are just more worried about, what other people think about them. Not, like, what they're really thinking about other people. People aren't really necessarily judging you 24/7 or judging what you're doing. It's things like that. Sure, they may, like, have an initial judgment of, I don't know what that guy's doing. That seems kind of stupid, but nothing more than that, Just like an opinion. Everyone gets an opinion. It's fair. Oh Lord. But yeah, no. I think it's fair. Give yourself an opinion. Give yourself something. Give yourself a basis. But I know there's some other people who, let's say they don't really let's say they have that confidence. They don't really worry too much about, what these girls think about them. They honestly don't really care. They just see it as a fact that, if they want something, they'll go for it. Which is fair, that's good, but a lot of guys come off as too pushy, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I got some homies that, they got riz, they do, but on the low, they say some fuck shit, They'll say some weird shit like, damn girl, you really smell good. Like, I'm not saying they'll say that, but it's just like a weird thing. Like, you just gotta watch what you're saying, man, sometimes. And, just be respectful. Be a respectful person, man. If you treating people that you like, these girls, these guys, anybody really, if you treat anybody with not the same respect you'd want, or even just like treating them well, man, then how can you expect them to feel the same way? Yeah, man, it's really hard during high school. High school is very tumultuous time. I don't fucking know if that's the right word, but it's a very hard time. It's a hard time to understand. You can't really, you're not really you're learning to understand, but you don't get everything yet. Not everything has clicked yet. You're on that border, you're on that cusp where you're learning a few things and you're failing a few things. You're not doing good in class maybe, but hey, you're doing good in that sports team, or you're having fun in that club, that freaking gaming club that you're part of, but maybe you just suck at talking to people, stuff like that. I relate to that stuff. I remember a little story, little story time. I was I used to be in like in high school. I remember I used to do this like office assistant. You know, I used to do their passes, and like twice there were like 2 girls I got partnered with, and both times I ended up, you know, I guess like crushing on them. But I think this is more of like a tale of guys of like, I don't know, this is just based on my experience. Like, I couldn't be friends with no girls without like, you know, falling for them, or at least like thinking they're cute. You know, it's just impossible for me. Literally physically impossible for me. Which is like, some of you guys might relate to that. You guys might relate that, you know, every girl you talk to, you're just like, oh, man, she's so cute. Man, she's perfect one for me. But I'm telling you, bro, most likely not, you know, just because they're there, like, yeah, just because they're there doesn't mean that they're there for you, you know, or like they're the right one for you. You know, I made this, I had to learn this, you know, I had to learn this many times, basically. You know, this was like a lesson that was taught to me many times. Was like, I'd get a crush for a girl, and then immediately, like, not immediately, but see, I was the type of guy where like I'd get a crush and I'd get like I really like her, and then I just like, obviously I wouldn't say anything though. Like, I would never really say anything, so it just festered, and it honestly, it'd always get to a point where I'd be like, oh man, like I like her so much, but I just know that it's not possible, or man, maybe I will risk it. And every time I risked it, I always knew in the back of my head, like, this would never work out. Or I would think, you know, like, I don't really know if she likes me. Which, guys, I'll say this now, this is a painful truth. If a girl likes you, she likes you, and she'll make it obvious. Like, genuinely, she'll make it obvious, or she'll make it easy for you to approach, make it easy for you to keep going. You know, there's some girls that maybe take advantage of that and just like keep you leading you on. But I feel like those girls, like, they'll deny you a lot, but also allow you. So it's like a mix of both. You know, they'll be like no, but then they'll be like yes. But a girl that likes you, she'll be like yes. There won't really be no no's. There won't really be no, you know, dancing around the bush or dancing around, you know, conversation. It'll be like, hey, like, yes, this is the one. So if you find yourself talking to some girl and you're just like, and you want to tell her how much you care about her, you want to express, you know, your feelings, but there's this part of you that's like, it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you this: you got 2 options. You can do one, which is don't do anything. Maybe you have a good friendship and it's really good, and maybe breaking it is bad, but you'll sit with it for a long time. However long you hold on to that, you'll hold on, and when you think you let go, you won't. You might find someone else, but you could be thinking about that other person still. That's wild. Or you could rip the band-aid off and say, hey, I really like you, and, you know, tell your feelings, but almost expect the rejection in a way, because the only reason why you're really telling her or telling them that how you feel is because, well, you don't want to sit with that. You don't want to always be in the world of what if. You want to be in the world of, okay, this is what happened. You want to be in reality. Because sitting in this what if scenario of like, oh man, it could have been great. It could have been, you know, there could have been 1,000 ways. You know, maybe if I just asked her that one time. I feel like you knew deep down that even at that time, that if you asked her, that was cooked. You never had a chance. So that's why I always, any girl I remember, especially in high school, like, I told them, like, after like a couple of months, like, it'd be to a point where I'd be like, hey, you know, like, I'm really liking you, like we should Not like we should, but like I'd be like, hey, I'm just like really liking you. Like, do you feel the same way? Almost. It'd almost be just like that. And they'd be like, oh no, I never knew you thought of me that way. Like, I always just saw us as friends. Guys, the second you hear that, just end it, bro. It's not even worth it. Like, low-key, unless that's your type of thing where like you're fine being friends. But me personally, like, I don't know, I just can't be friends with girls. Like, the only way I can be friends with girls is if I'm trying to just date them, or if I want them to like me, you know, just like. But it's never in the fact of like I hope they're cool. It's more like, man, I'm lonely and like I don't want to be here by myself. Like I don't want to be. I don't want like. Well, I'm telling you, I didn't have my first like a lot of things until recently. So like during that time, I was very insecure. I was like, man, I haven't even kissed a girl. I haven't even like hold a girl. I haven't even like said hi to a girl. Basically, nah, not really, but you know, it's just like more like just getting in your own head and stuff. I'll tell you guys this, bro. Stop worrying about your virginity. Like, stop worrying about like, oh, I need to lose my virginity. Like I can't be a virgin, bro. People are making fun of me. I'll tell you guys this right now. My friends, for the longest time, was clowning me like crazy, bro. They was like, virgin. They was calling me a virgin. They was calling me this and that. And for a while, it did bother me. I'm not gonna lie, it did. I was like, man, like there's no way they've already hit, and they're like already doing all this. When most of the time, bro, they did not hit, bro. I knew they didn't hit, bro. They were just capping. You're just saying stuff. Yeah, they're flexing. You know, being kids, you know. Kids think that things like virginity matters, but most people, after they've had it the first time, they don't really care. It's not like it's a flex no more. Because I'm telling you, bro, like, I got a homeboy who's just rotating girls, and it's just like, I'm not to the point where I'm just like, bro, like, I know you're not happy, bro. Like, what are you doing? He's just like, well, the huzz, they make me happy. But deep down, he wants to be a lover boy. He wants to lock in, but he got hurt one time. And I guess it's a good segue. If you become vulnerable with somebody and they break your trust, if they break that trust, that's not your fault. It's not on you, and it really is on them. You know, they took advantage on you. But another thing is, that doesn't give you the right to do the same to others. You know, saying hurt people, it's so true. And most likely the person you're getting hurt by was hurt by somebody else, and it's just like it's an endless chain. You don't want to be a part of the problem, you know. I get it, you got your heart broken. I get it, you thought she was the one. I get it, you had your future all laid out. Y'all was gonna get married. Y'all was gonna go move out to Fiji. You have like 3 kids, bro, and just like live happily ever after. Well, it didn't happen. You're here now, and you need to soak over it for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, you need to feel bad. You need to be like, man, this sucks. But after that, after you're done, feeling shitty for yourself, and after you felt those feelings, you need to make a decision. Whether it's, I'm just gonna rot for a bit. I'm just gonna feel shitty for a bit, or you're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna put myself back out there. You know what? This isn't where I want to stay. I wanna do better. I wanna find somebody. I wanna find the right person for me. Most times you won't find it in school. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Maybe high school, no. College, you could. That's how I found my girl. I met her in my college class. But high school is just a different feel. Most relationships just don't make it out because, well, people are just too immature. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Oh my god, my aim is crap. Jesus Christ. Ugh. Most people just not mature enough to handle, their own feelings and someone else's. You gotta work on yourself before you enter a relationship. That was my main thing. That's what always held me back from relationships. Because I remember there were 1 or 2 people. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna cap you guys. Sure, I was chopped. I was definitely chopped. I was a nerd. I was insecure. I was antisocial. But even me, I had 1 or 2 people who told me that they had feelings for me. And I remember during that time, I was always thinking, Like, oh man, God, like, I don't know, I'd always think to God for some reason, even though I wasn't religious. I'd be like, God, like I do this and that, you know. It's almost like I'd be like, oh my God, like I try to, you know, I'm a smart kid. I don't really like get into trouble, you know, like I'm just doing my thing. I like playing games. Like, the girl's just not like that. Maybe I'm just not attractive. Maybe I'll never find anybody for me. That was always my thought, you know. I was always just gonna be alone, and you know, nobody could see the worth that I had. Honestly, because I didn't see my own worth really. That's why it's important to build confidence when you're younger. We gotta. It's almost like a lie, man. Like a lie you gotta tell yourself, but it's not really a lie, because at some point it becomes your reality. You have to almost lie to yourself that you're confident. You gotta lie to yourself that you do love yourself. You gotta lie to yourself that you care about, you know, the things you're going through. Because especially during that time, when you're experiencing so many different things and nobody's helping you. You're just by yourself. You're by yourself in your room, texting 3 different huzzes, and you're just like, oh my God, like this girl's bad, but this girl's really nice, but this girl's honestly like really mysterious. I never talked to this girl before. You're gonna lose all 3 of them. I'm telling you right now. You gotta make a decision. Just make that decision. Choose, like. And if you mess up, it's okay. You messed up, and now you know. I was so scared to make mistakes when I was younger. I didn't make any mistakes. I would barely make a mistake. And my friends would be like, man, Dia, you got your stuff figured out. You know what you're doing. You know, you don't really get into too much trouble. You know, you're just a good kid. You know. And then I'd over here be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've just been doing the same thing my entire life, and you guys look like you're having so much fun. And you guys look like you're living life, and you guys look like that you're making experiences that I always wanted to have. You guys are getting girlfriends, you guys are getting buns, you guys are getting huzz, you guys are getting everything. And so it's a two-way street, you know. It's like, I can only ever speak from my experience, but I do understand a lot of other ones, you know, because like all the people close around me have like almost expressed the same things. You know, they've expressed that people treat you differently. They treat you differently when you change, especially when you become more conventionally attractive. You know, you might lose a couple pounds and walk a little bit with your chest out and maybe wear some piercings, and out of nowhere people are thinking, okay, this guy now looks official, you know. He's a cool guy now. But a lot of people don't realize is that you were a cool guy even before you dropped all that. You were still the same guy. You were just not happy with yourself. And so that leaked out, and other people saw that, and they pounced on that, and they agreed. They said, you know what? I'm not happy with you either. If you're not happy with yourself, how would I be? And that's a lot of things that we forget, is that we set up our own failures like that. We set up other people to treat us up, or treat ourselves bad. I go to work, and I have this Indian shift leader that I have her, and she's very. I mean, she told me that she was like, that she grew up in India. She got an arranged marriage, and then she moved out here, right? But her big struggle is that like she can't stand up for herself at all. And anytime she does stand up for herself, she feels like, I don't know. No, she doesn't stand up for herself. And anytime she shows any any resistance to like anybody, and then she gets some backlash, it's like she succumbs immediately to the pressure. God damn, I just got a laser by that guy. Like somebody would say that she's not doing a good job, and then she'd be like, well, I guess I'm not doing a good job, you know, just like believing the lies that are fed to you. Just crazy, you know, like maybe she isn't like the best worker of all time. I won't lie, maybe she isn't, but she's trying. She's been there for like 15 years, so it's just like, you know, it's just working. People talk shit, you know, it's a lot of drama, but how I see it is like, you're giving these people something to complain about, something to point the finger at, you know? You're giving them the show. And what the show is you being angry, yes. You being your true self, you're being real, but also you being an exaggerated force, you know, an exaggerated mess, an exaggerated version of yourself. You're tired of how you're feeling. You're tired of everything that's been treating you this way, but reacting it in such a hostile and immature way sets yourself up for failure, especially if you want the respect of your peers. You know, like they say, respect is earned and not given. And if you don't earn that respect, you're gonna be sitting there wondering why. Oh my god, y'all, that's the worst 1v1 of my life. Jesus Christ. No, you're gonna be sitting there wondering why. Well, it's because sure, you might have told them your problems, you might have told them, you know, how you felt, but it was to a boiling point. No, you had to burst for that to happen. You couldn't have just told them how you felt. You know, you held that in for too long. And now when it's gone to a point where everybody knows your business and everybody's like looking at you weird, and now you're like feeling even worse. Like, why'd I even say anything? Well, you gotta stand up for yourself, man. And you gotta know you had to make that mistake of exploding in order to know that maybe letting out that anger out time to time just naturally is way better. You know? I started getting in the shower and then like it's like saying what made me angry, and I'll be like, man, like I was talking to somebody and the way they said that just really irked me. You know, I knew it was kind of disrespectful, but you know, I'm not the type of person to bite back and just like ruin the scenario and just like make it a hostile environment. No, that's not me. But that doesn't mean what they said didn't hurt me. And so I just be in the shower, I'm not gonna like get a little heated, like just like be like, wow, this would be like, you know, a little angry. And we forget that, you know, anger is an emotion that we have to have, and it's an emotion that is powerful. Anger is a strong motivator, but it doesn't last the longest. You know, anger may not be the best. Might not be the best way to to, you know, do a procedure, but when you're in that gym and you're about to hit that PR, you know, thinking about your ex for a little bit might help you reach that. You know, like, we have to learn to be healthy with our emotions. So if you're in high school right now, you're probably not dealing with your emotions the best way. You're not dealing with your lust the right way. You're probably yorking it a bit too much. I'm not gonna lie. Let's be honest with ourselves. You're yorking it a bit too much. You're gooning too much. You know, you think that, oh man, like, I can't have a girlfriend, so I'm just, you know what, I'm just gonna go on the hub. You know, go on the hub and, you know, spend my time there and just see what's going on. It warps your brain a lot. And especially for young men, it's almost like it's normalized to be fed. It's like, you know what? You wanna go York it? Go York it. Be my guest. Go York it. Anyways, it's very horrible. It's not good for you at all. So now, you might be telling me, how do I finally get across the point? And how do I finally get my girl? How do I get out there? How do I finally, you know, start seeing the fruits of my labor? It all comes with time. And as long as you know what you're doing is right, or you're doing yourself. Big thing. Don't put yourself in a box. Don't try to be the gym guy or the nonchalant guy. Be you. Be the first you. Be the only you, because there only is you. Maybe you is being nerdy and playing video games all day, watching anime. And you might think, oh, how am I supposed to pull any girls with that? You want to know how many girls do the exact same thing? Who play games all day, watch anime, and just like bedrock? That's a lot more people than you think. A lot of people bedrock. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would relate with you doom scrolling for many hours. For you to just be vulnerable and be like, hey, like I do this and I'm not really proud of it, but this is how I spend my time. So I'll be like, hey, like, you know, I also like watching, you know, Naruto spin the wheel videos on TikTok for hours, trying to decide, you know, trying to see how this character will survive, or spin the gauntlet wheel videos and seeing how if that character can win the gauntlet many times. You know, I like watching those for a couple of hours a day. But do I tell a lot of people that? Not really. But would a girl probably relate? Maybe. I don't know. Would someone else relate? Probably. A lot of people relate more than you think, you know. These things, they come with, it's got to be circumstance, it's got to be connection, it's got to be like that feeling. Just don't give up. Don't limit yourself, and it's going to be a while. I'm telling you. It took me a long time to get my first goal. Very long time, but I'm proud why I'm glad, and honestly, I couldn't ask for anybody better. Because you see at everybody else, you know, I probably kept a high standard for most of my high school. Sure, there was a lot of girls I was lusting for, but the ones that did reject me honestly made me happy at some point. You know, it made me realize that it wouldn't have even gone good if I did start dating them somehow. If you're a good person, good people will naturally attract to you. If you're a bad person, people will come to you. If you're in the middle, you get, you know, random bunch. But like I say, as long as you know what you are, if you find who you are, if you find what you like doing, what you don't like doing, just anything. If you know what you are, those types of people are actually they're gonna start like flocking to you instantly. Not instantly, but they'll come to you with time. You know, because you'll be in those spots that you like being. You'll be playing basketball at the gym, at the fitness connection, and there's one girl just decided to pull up, and she's, you know, she asked if we needed one more, and she's in. Maybe she's in my team, and we're having good chemistry. You know, passing the rock around, and she's made an insane 3-pointer. Maybe I might ask her for her Instagram after the match. You know, stuff like that. Or you're gaming like me, and maybe you're just doing random. We're playing with randoms, and you just hear some girl in the game chat. You're playing Siege, probably. You might need to lock in. It's almost the same thing, you know. You hit it off. Just random circumstances, man. You gotta be in those positions in order to achieve. As long as you're in the room, then you'll be able to hear the speech type thing, you know. But if you're not in the room, you won't be able to hear nothing. You gotta put yourself in the room, man. Put yourself in that room, please. It's a big mistake people are forgetting about. Put yourself in that place. Put yourself on there. Make yourself available. Let yourself fail. Let yourself get broken up with. Let yourself get rejected. Because at some point, somebody will say yes. And that might be the one for you. Maybe it might not be, but hey, this is what you want, right? Alright. That's enough yet for today. I think we need to just keep it going for today. I'm gonna chill. But anyways, I hope y'all having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever y'all doing. Let me know what y'all think, bro. Leave a comment, leave a like. I want to see more comments now. You know, I want to see you guys engaging, just like about anything. You know, leave a comment about what you ate for breakfast, or what's the most frustrating thing you had to deal with today. I don't know, just something random. I will respond, and honestly, I like responding to people. So, anyways, y'all, this is Dia signing out. Peace.